This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 545.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. Why? Hello, everybody. This is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. We have none next weekend. No WordCamp. So sad. So, take the weekend off. Relax. No travel for anybody. That's all. Just everyone stay put. Okay. All right, moving right along. Segment 1 in the news. One thing to mention here that Learn WordPress. So I guess technically it's WordPress.org. And the Learn WordPress section, the latest section, is the latest section to receive. It's so confusing how I'm saying this. I'm going to keep going here. So it's the latest section to receive a design refresh. And that's kind of cool. And Learn WordPress it's been growing as a hub of educational resources for WordPress since 2020. So now it's undergone the transformation in content focused and design with the introduction of learning pathways. That's what I'm trying to say. And a reimagined look. So, okay. Link in the show notes. All I'm trying to say here is that there is a brand new way to learn WordPress via the WordPress.org page. I'll put a link in the show notes. So there you go. Sorry about that. That was kind of a weird way to say all that, to get around the fact that it's updated, it's refreshed, it's new, it's growing, and it's a hub of educational resources. Check it out. Okay, there you go. Anything else in the news? Nope, that's it in the news. Pretty light news week. All right, moving on. Segment 2, the meat potatoes of this week's episode. The battle of the bots, because that's what I'm talking about. I say the bots in air quotes, and more specifically, those bots that might be attacking your or your client's websites. And the reason for this week's discussion is because recently, one of my client sites started getting attacked. And I say recently, and it happened about 7 or 8 weeks ago when it first started, and then we kind of took care of it, and then it kind of came back. And I say getting attacked, and Eric, again, it quotes, but it's kind of a weird situation here. And to be clear, the site in question, it's nothing special. It's not e-commerce, has no important user data. As a matter of fact, it's just information and a calendar for a local faith-based organization. And some people might say, well, it's because it's faith-based. It's not. Trust me, it's not like anything crazy. It's a local church, if you will. Actually, it's one of their offshoots. So after some research and after finding out and digging into things and seeing who was attacking it, and I'll share who it was later, but I spent some time figuring out all the different ways that bots, hackers could attack websites, along with some recommendations on how to prevent them. So that said, here are the 5 ways bad actors typically go about getting into your site. Number 1, brute force attacks. Description here would be bad actors using automated tools to attempt to gain access to your website, trying numerous combinations of the usernames and passwords. That's brute force. And they have scripts that just do this over and over again. Prevention, obviously, is using a strong password, making sure that you don't allow the site, any new users, to create a password that is password or hello1234, etc. Also, limiting login attempts, using plugins like WordFence or login lockdown to limit the number of login attempts on a single IP address, and then can block them for too many attempts in a certain amount of time frame. Also using 2FA, otherwise known as two-factor authentication. Doing that also adds a layer of security. So that's the brute force attack, and that's a couple ways to prevent it. Second way here of attacking would be an SQL injection. The description of this one is an attack will exploit vulnerabilities in the database of the website by injecting malicious SQL code, allowing them to have access, modify, or delete data. This is a thing that's still out there, but it's becoming less and less of a thing, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure there. But I just haven't heard about it most recently. Anyway, prevention. Using prepared statements, always using prepared statements and parameters, queries to interact with your database. And of course, that is a matter of if you're a developer. This kind of stuff is a little more if you're in the database doing that type of work. So, keep that in mind as well. In the same realm of developers and code wranglers, if you will, you want to sanitize the user input. You want to ensure that all user input is validated and sanitized. I know what that concept means, but again, I am not that level. It's kind of above my pay grade, if you will. So if that makes sense to you, great. And lastly, update your software. Regularly update your CMS, WordPress core plugins, and the server itself needs to happen to patch any known vulnerabilities. Okay, third way here would be cross-site scripting, otherwise known as XSS, cross-site scripting. I always have a hard time saying that. Description of this one is attackers will inject malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users, which can steal information, hijack the session itself, or even redirect users to a different site. Again, prevention would be to sanitize and escape output, making sure that all user-generated content is escaped before displaying it on your site. So you want to make sure that things are cleaned up and how do I word this one? I don't know exactly how to word it, but there are ways you can do this by using a security plugin specifically like Securi or WordFence, because it can see them and prevent the XSS attack. I've always wanted to see this actually happen, as well as with the SQL injection. I've wanted to try to find it, have someone show me how this actually is done, but no one's ever offered to do that. If you know how to do it and you want to give me a demo, I would love to do that and maybe document it and share it on the podcast. Anyway, all right. Number 4, DDoS, otherwise known as distributed denial of service. This is an old school one. Really, it's been around for a long time. It's basically when attackers overwhelm your server with a massive amount of traffic, causing it to slow down or crash, making the site inaccessible. Pretty basic. So prevention would be using a CDN, a content delivery network, like Cloudflare. What's another one? There used to be one. Max CDN is another one. So this mitigates the attacks because it distributes traffic across multiple servers. You can also implement rate limiting. So you can say with other services, limit the number of requests from a single IP, and you can monitor traffic. So that way, if it detects unusual spikes in traffic, it can then automatically adjust and block that IP as well. Okay. And the fifth and final way would be malware injection. In this case, attackers will inject malicious code into your website, which can steal data to face your site or spread malware to your visitors. Prevention would be, again, updating and patching things, keeping everything core, themes, plugins up to date, backing up regularly, because once you get malware in the site, it's really hard to get it out. It takes a lot of work. I've had this actually happen a couple years ago to a handful of client sites, and it was a pain in the butt. But luckily, we had clean scans. So again, one of the things for prevention would be a regular scan, so that way you can always have a clean backup as well. WordFence, Securi, those two services top of my mind for scanning as well. So there you go. There's the 5. Let me go back over those one more time real quick. Number 1 was brute force attacks. 2, SQL injection. 3, cross-site scripting. 4, DDoS, distributed denial of service. And 5, malware injection. So on the issue of my client site and who was knocking on the door of the site in question and causing problems, well, it looks like it was a combination of a brute force attack and a DDoS. It's hard to know exactly which way they were going, but so much traffic was coming to the site, so many attempts to log in or try to get into the site was going down. Interestingly enough, researching this showed that the IP was coming from Amazon Web Services, so not Amazon, but somebody using one of their servers was doing it, as well as Facebook. Somehow, someone was masking an IP to look like it was coming from a Facebook server, just probably a bad actor using some script to do that. So the solution in our case was we blocked the IPs at the server level, the hosting level as well, and this client in question actually has a Cloudflare account, so there are some settings there, and you can also do some you can add some scripts to block specific IPs as well. So there you have it. That's what we did. And the main problem went away after doing some research and doing this, but then it came back again just last week. And we found out that there's also one more little hiccup, that the client installed a different plugin that was conflicting with Yoast and robots.txt. It's a whole separate thing. So we're working on that one more thing to fix, and we should be good to go. I mean, I've been managing the site. We acquired them, 6 years ago. Never been an issue until recently. I think it's not personal by any stretch. I think it's just somebody trying to get in because they can. It's hard to say what the purpose is here. That I don't know. I don't know why they're trying to get into this small little faith-based website. That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe access to the server. Maybe that way they can use it as a server farm, as an attack vector. Hard to say. So there you have it. If you have any other things you want to share with me on this, or show me how like an XSS works, that'd be great. I would love to see that. So, or like a SQL injection. That'd be kind of interesting too. So, all right, moving on. Segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week's tip, it's a tool actually. It's PNG Maker. It's over at pngmaker.io. Pretty cool. If you're looking to create through AI an image, then also give you an PNG that you can use for graphics. Check it out. Kind of neat. pngmaker.io. I have no connection to them. Just heard about it somewhere. I'm not sure where. Maybe on Instagram. I don't remember where I saw it. And I checked it out. It's kind of neat. So check that out over there. All right. I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use the SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, a couple ways to do that. Become a Patreon, kitchensinkwp.com/Patreon. You can also buy me a coffee. You can sponsor the show. There's a form on the website. Do that. Get right back to you. And that's it for now. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right. Bye-bye.